You're listening to the Align to Amplify podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Sarah and Haley.
And just like that, we are here again for Align to Amplify. I am Sarah Garrison, an intuitive business healer, and I am here with
Haley Lillis. I am a brand accelerator and executive creative advisor. And today, oh my gosh, I have so been looking forward to this interview for ever since we decided we were going to do a podcast. It was like, oh my gosh. So today we have Emily Lewis. She is not related to me, but she should be.
We might as well be.
Seriously, a sister. And she is the owner and founder of Brighter Day Photography. She is the one that brought the brand photography magic to my website at HaleyLewis.com. So if you're curious, go check it out. And so welcome.
Thanks.
Emily. I'm so excited.
So fun to be here.
Well, I just want to also say she did all the brand photography for this podcast as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was our very first.
Yeah, we spent that morning in here and set everything up, and it was fun.
Yeah. No, it was great. And, okay, so the interesting thing, I'm going to kick this off, is that I had a photography session basically kind of penciled in on the books with somebody else. And then my mom passed away and I canceled because I was like, I can't do this. I'm like sad.
Yeah.
And it shows. And so we were sitting at Hub one day and I told you, I'm like, I need brand photography, but I'm sad. And you were like, do you trust me? And I just remember those words, kind of like, you just feel like you just kind of wrap me up in a hug and you're like, kind of like, I got this.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing that I think is really important with talking to clients. I really like to see them face to face if I can before our session, because I want to know their story. And I think there's so much value in, I think we first talked over Zoom. And then we met here at the SDF Collective during the hub. So I think having that face-to-face contact and really like seeing a person and seeing their mannerisms and knowing what they're going through is so important in just creating that relationship. And I did a brand session with a psychologist a few weeks ago, and I wanted to meet with him face to face, and I'm so glad that I did, because I saw, he was telling me he had gotten photos done. He didn't really like them. It didn't feel like him. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see your personality. I can see how these photos don't reflect that. And I just love that ability to see someone and then like get to incorporate that into their business and their photos. It's amazing. And your brand session was so much fun. Like, I don't think any of that sadness came through.
Oh no, I don't think so either. No. And a lot of it was like, bring your people. When you said bring your people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to put it into words, but I felt like we were creating this really safe space for me to so who I am could come through in the photography and not be held back or masked by my grief and sadness. It was just, so I was like, I brought my people.
Your whole family was there and they were awesome. And there was so much love and just like fun, like your daughter and your son who was doing the videography for it. So yeah, it was a fun experience.
And then we can't forget you were like, oh, you, okay. I get like this because I start to giggle before I say what I'm going to say. You were like, in the kindest way, you're like, you need hair and makeup.
I think everybody needs hair and makeup.
Yeah.
It's not just you.
And it just never occurred to me. I mean, I'm behind the scenes. I'm behind the camera. I'm the puppet master, behind the guy person, always. And so it was like, hair and makeup never occurred to me, ever.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, no, honey, you need hair and makeup.
Well, it's not,
and I'm bringing somebody in,
Yeah, and it's not just because I want you to look a certain way. It's a confidence thing, especially for women. When you get to sit in a chair and be pampered for, I mean, I think it was only maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, and what was her name again? Because we should shout her out because that was pretty amazing.
Giovanna.
Yes.
And I don't know her last name, but she's amazing. She knew exactly what to do. You know, she made you look very natural, but it was that pop and it was that boost of confidence. I remember when you saw yourself, you were like, oh my gosh.
It's me, because I was so worried, because what I don't like is when makeup becomes the focus. And I don't wear I put on neutral lipstick and a little mascara. Like,
Same.
so, but the way that she did it was like, oh, it is me.
Yeah.
Only me better.
Yeah. It's just, it's like you won your best day of, like your wedding. Like I think I said during it, I was like, I haven't had that done since my wedding day. And that's kind of sad.
Right.
As women, you know, I mean, that was, I don't know.
Well, you think about celebrities.
Yeah.
And how great they look all the time. They
All the
have
time.
people do this for them all the time.
Yeah.
And then you the paparazzi catches them coming out of the Piggly Wiggly with their, pint of ice cream or whatever in sweatpants. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're like, who's that?
She looks like me.
Yeah. Or like even worse, like normal people, yeah. So,
No, I think that's a really important aspect of brand photography, and any photo session that you're getting really is, I always tell my clients, if they're not going to get professional makeup, go one step above what you do usually, because it does look better on camera. And especially if you're having professional hair and makeup done, it just gives you that boost of confidence and it makes you feel pretty. I mean, yeah. So,
yeah. No, I definitely felt myself, but in a better way.
yeah.
And so that takes a lot of talent too, as a photographer, to be able to capture those moments. And so I find it really interesting, like, because I can't take a picture. like myself, like when I'm taking pictures of other people or whatever, I don't have that eye. Now my son has, and it was so funny because my daughter can draw. She could draw from an early age, and you're like, oh, I'm artistic. My husband's artistic, and then Max comes along and he's like, where is it? Like he's drawn stick figures and stuff. You're like, oh, okay, but then he got a camera.
Yeah.
And at 8, started taking these amazing angles of things, and it was like, there it is.
Yeah.
He's got it.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us, like, how did you end up in photography, and what was the journey of, because I know you have a background in the arts that's completely different than photography.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So I grew up in a musical family, very musical. So my grandma played the piano forever. She played up into her 80s. She was teaching piano lessons up into her 80s. My mom is a violin player. She teaches violin. I grew up, always surrounded by music. And so I took up the flute and then voice in high school. And I majored in voice in college.
She has an incredible voice.
Yeah, it's always been a part of me. And the creativity has always been there too. So that's how it was expressed early childhood through college. And it's really funny because I was recently going through a bin from my childhood, and I found one of those pieces of paper that you fill out in school. Like, what do you want to be when you're older? And this had to have been when it was elementary school. So I was really young, and it said a photographer. And I was really surprised by that because I don't remember writing that. I don't remember wanting to have that aspiration when I was little. Like, it was really random, but I also read it when I was in college going to school for photography. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's crazy. So it was almost, it was this full circle moment that I didn't even know was there. And so I feel like a lot of photographers are like, oh, I grew up with a camera in my hand. And I that's not really my story. I just remember taking pictures of like some friends in my early 20s. They would, get engaged, and I'd go take their pictures and put it on my computer. And I was like, oh, I'm actually like kind of good at this. I think I want to do this. And then I got to a certain point where I needed to learn more. I knew that I needed to learn lighting techniques. I needed to learn just the technical aspects of the camera. And oh gosh, I was newly married then. And so we had kids. We had 4 kids in 5 years. And so that got put
You're
on the
an
back burner.
overachiever, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I wanted to be done having kids by the time I was 30. I had my last kid 2 months before I turned 30. So
The importance of setting goals and following
I
through.
know, right?
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was knee deep in that. Didn't really do any. I mean, I was pregnant and raising kids for that 5 years. So nothing creative was happening. And then when my youngest was in kindergarten, I felt this freedom, and I was like, oh, I have all my days. Like, I have this 8-hour chunk of day, which when you have kids in school, that 8 hours goes by so fast. It's crazy. But anyways, I had that chunk of time, and I thought, oh, I can actually pursue something now. I had been a stay-at-home mom the whole time. So my oldest is turning 14 next month. And, so at that time it was probably 12 years of being a stay-at-home mom. And I said, okay, I've always wanted to learn more about photography and do this and, have my own business. And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to enroll at Mountain Hood Community College. They have an integrated media program. So I enrolled for the following spring, and that was, let's see, I think I enrolled in February of 2020. And then,
Man.
Surprise.
yeah. So then my kids were home doing school, and I was home during school the following fall, which was crazy. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, you're so crazy for doing this. And I was like, well, okay. Like, yeah, but I'm not going to give up on this dream just because it's inconvenient, or I knew I didn't want to put it off anymore. So we got through half of a school year with them being at home. And then I emailed the principal of her school, and I was like, I'm not doing this with my kids anymore. It's not working. We'll see you next year. They'll catch up. It'll be fine. And I kept doing, the online courses. So it was a 2-year program. Went back the following year. We were in person, and everyone was back at school. And yeah, so then I graduated last June, about a year ago, and started my business officially a little bit before that. So I've been in business for a little over a year, and that's...
And it's amazing what you have completed in that short of time.
Yeah.
You were like a networking queen.
Well, I was just realizing when you're like, yeah, I started a little after June or a little before June. I met you in June of that year. I've known you for just over a year now. And so I didn't know you were that brand new, because your photos that you have in your portfolio are just absolutely amazing. Nobody would have been able to tell.
Yeah.
And I actually, when Haley's like, I need a photographer, I'm like, I know this photographer I met. She lives out here. Like, I met her in Portland, but she lives out here. And it's fascinating to know that you were so brand new.
Yeah. Well, I knew, because I knew that I wanted to do brand photography. And so I knew that in order to get business, I needed to go where business owners were, and especially women. I work with both men and women, but a majority of my clients are women. And so I just started going to networking events, women-led networking events, and it's really cool, like the power of networking. Because when I first met you, Sarah, I was like, oh, she does a really cool thing, and she lives by me, and that's cool. But am I probably going to use her service? Like, no, probably not anytime soon. But it's about that relationship building, and you never know when you meet somebody what's going to come. You know, when was that?
That was June of 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I don't even know when you emailed me. April, May of this year?
Well, I left town in May, so it's probably March.
Yeah.
It was earlier because,
Okay.
well, because
It was shortly. It was right on.
Sarah had given me your name. 'Cause
Yeah.
we had just been talking about it at one of our hub sessions, and I was like, well, I already have a photographer, but sure, I'll take the name.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'll talk to her.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's going to come up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those you never know kind of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when those circumstances in my life, you know, brought grief heavy down on me, and I canceled everything. And then I knew that and we were sitting at Hub, and I'm like, I've canceled everything. And I'm pushing my launch way back. And, you know, and you're like, why? Like, no. It's like what I love about Hub and the people that come there is that people like you are like not going to allow me to sink into my pity party. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's like, trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are from networking and building those relationships. And then I knew you wanted the best for me. And you're like, oh, no, you know, your site needs to launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
yeah.
just
the
need-
world, it keeps moving.
You got to keep doing it. And it's like, your mom would want that, you know? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and just thinking about, well, because I have a little questionnaire, and you put down Sarah's name, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember meeting Sarah, and I think I saw her again at a different networking event, and I just never would have guessed at that first, I think it was at a Moxie mixer,
Yep.
and when we met, that it would bring me Haley, and then Hub, and then getting into this space, the SDF Collective.
Yeah.
Because did I invite you here to meet me here?
Yes, because that's where we were meeting in person to talk about and I walked in the space and I was like, how did I know this?
And now
didn't
you're
exist?
connected at the hip with
I
Amy.
love it. Yeah, it's the best. Like, yeah, it just feels so right when I walked in here. So everything is just so meant to be. And
that's the thing about networking is like you never know what chance meeting is going to just open up an entire world for you. It's why I network, and it's why sometimes when I network, I may not be in the best headspace networking, but I still go just because I'm like, there might be somebody that opens something for me, or I might meet somebody that I can help introduce to my network. And that's the big piece is that I don't go networking to meet my clients because most people are out there trying to find their own business. I'm there to develop relationships, and I'm sure that's what you do as well.
yeah,
You know, because
100%.
that's what it is. It's about meeting the right connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And just getting to know people. Like it's so cool to be in a room of women who are also business owners and seeing what they're doing. And it's inspiring. It's awesome.
And you do see what we're doing. You're poking around in our social
I
and
know.
like sending us notes saying you need to update this,
I know.
which is great. 'Cause I mean, like I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely, I
Yeah.
freaking love that. But you brought up something about your form, like your little intake form or whatever. What I'm really impressed about is your process and how you onboard these brand photography clients, and like. It was kind of like a little mini creative brief that you sent me, and I had to fill it out, and I had to like talk about my vision, my mission, my target, my my colors, my brand, my
Your mood,
You
your-
had all of these questions, and I'm like, she's really detailed. Like
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
asking, you're doing a brand report on me, like you're doing a deep dive discovery, right? And I was like, how is this going to, like, I don't understand what she's doing. And then sure enough, so I shoot it over, and I don't know, a day or two later, she sends me back like this mood board, but it was several pages of
the shot lists.
Yes. And it was like this detailed report, and I felt so fancy and important, like seeing my new brand through your eyes with the samples and all of that stuff. And tell us what's in the report, because I can't remember. There were several pages of it.
Yeah. So what I do is called a brand strategy questionnaire that I send out to someone who books with me, and it's basically getting an overview of your brand. Like, where are you at? What are your colors? What's your mood? What do you want your clients to feel when they work with you? What are your values? And so from there, I love it because I see things like pictures. So it's exciting for me because it all comes together in the mood board. So I'll get examples of where, I think our photo shoot is going to look like this, and I'd really like to take this kind of shot. So the mood board has your brand colors, it has your logo, and then the direction that we want to go. And then after that, I just do shot lists. It's basically what it is. So it's, where we're going to take this, what we're going to do in this certain, like you at your drawing board. Mm-hmm. What else did we do?
So we set up we did the typical headshots and body shots and those kind of things. But then we set up these little mini scenes, which I loved.
Yeah.
So we had the conference room, and then we set up a desk. So it looked like, where I was. And then we did that glass, whiteboard, looking through the glass whiteboard with all the Post-it notes. Then we set up the drawing table in the other studio, and then we did the strategy board on the back wall.
That's right. Yeah.
And so you captured me in my element of work. Mm-hmm. Discussing and working with clients and doing the creative stuff, and then pondering with me sucking on my glasses, laughing, and then doing some more Post-it work, and it just seemed seriously like we had just walked into my studio and captured me in the moment.
You wouldn't know that it wasn't your studio that you guys took the photos at. Seriously, looking at them, I know because I knew where you took the photos, but anybody from the outside would think, oh, that's what Haley's studio looks like? That's amazing.
Yeah, but it's really important to bring in those aspects of your personal, the workspace behind when we had on the wall, I don't know what you call that in the graphic design world, but all of the papers and
the stuff that was up on the wall, big stylescapes and everything, showing the brand story.
Yes, it's showing what you do and how you do it and what it looks like to work with you, and it's just your whole vibe. It's just capturing that essence of you and your business. Well,
you really did capture and it didn't look stage, because I told you I don't want the hey check me out, I'm a realtor or an insurance salesman or whatever,
right?
I wanted that. I wanted to be serious, but I wanted to be approachable,
and fun and competent and professional, but like you said, approachable. So
and you made it easy, because I was really concerned about being stiff, and I didn't want to look plastic, and because that's not my personality. So
it's hard to be in front of a camera.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things.
I think what really helped too is we had our session beforehand with this podcast. I found it really interesting because we had this session, we did, the pictures here, and then we did some shoots outside in the nice, beautiful area, and you got some headshots of us, and I found that you really, through my own process, watching and experience, you captured our fun, goofy nature during that process. I think that opened up for you. But what I also found is after that, I went to a retreat where we also got headshots and pictures done. The photographer's an excellent photographer. I just walked away from that with a different feeling, because I was I just had a session with Emily, and I felt natural. I felt comfortable. I felt like free flowing and fun. And then I went to this next one and excellent photos. I just didn't feel the same. And looking at them, I can see the feeling that I had. And so there's definitely like a vibe that you really capture in the process of taking people's photos that really just get their whole essence and really capture who they are. Because looking at Haley's photos when they finally came out, I was just shocked because that's Haley. That's the Haley I know. And I've seen your other photos before, and you look at them, you're like, yeah, I can see. Yeah, that's Haley.
Yeah.
But these were like, oh my good God.
Yeah.
This is Haley up front and center. This is amazing. Like, it was a completely different. And just knowing, because I went through the experience of having the two different ones, like one almost back to back. I just now I understand there's like an essence that you bring that just makes you feel like you're in the right place at the right time in the right situation to make sure that it's comfortable and flowing.
Yeah.
There's no like pose like this, do this, turn your head like this. I mean, you still do that. You still like, there's a trick that I learned.
Yes.
That all photographers know, but we don't know. It's just stick your chin.
It's called the turtle, where you put your
you
forehead
just
towards
go,
the camera.
You
Because
just
it gets
kinda
rid
go.
of this. And
So Emily was doing that with me, and she's like, do this and do that, and then she's like, I know it feels really weird.
yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah.
But
you look amazing.
But it's
so
not
trust
that,
me.
It's not that weird. Like, put your hand here and like it's so hard to explain between the two different photographers. Like I said, I'm not like dissing the other photographer. She took great photos. It's just that there's a different feeling. Like, even if you Emily put you in a kind of an odd position, because she did a few times with us, it doesn't look odd, and you don't look like you feel uncomfortable. Whereas I feel like some other photographers, they put you in the position and you look like you're uncomfortable. It doesn't look natural as much.
Yeah. And I don't know what about me. Like, I think that I am good at giving people space, and I'm not like in your face. I like to really step back and just capture what's going on. Like, you two played off so well of each other. Like, I was just like, I'm just going to take pictures of them being goofy and laughing. And
I was like, this is going to look like an engagement photo session.
no, yeah. Yeah, and
and we're like the cutest couple ever.
I love the one
seriously.
where I laid down on the ground.
Yeah.
Because Haley's like, I don't want stuffing. I'm like, here, let's make it crazy.
But no, we got some.
But
really
it caught
good
our
ones.
personality because, I mean, honestly, in our podcast, our goal is to be really authentic and who we are.
Yes.
We giggle a lot.
Yeah.
We screw up a lot too. But we're learning and we're growing and we're enjoying the process of communicating with others and getting, getting the word out on the great work that people like you are doing.
Yeah, I love it.
So, but I was thinking about when you were talking about the difference in your photo sessions. I think with Emily, I feel like you're kind of peeling the onion. Like, you're getting all the rough, crinkly parts of us off down to the smooth, aromatic, the good stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and it shows.
Yeah.
Because, okay. So we'll really be honest here. You were kind of a Photoshop wizard too. So it's not like it's like the raw photos on my website and not like me. She's done some retouch.
There's a little bit.
I mean,
There's a little bit.
I don't think she did much though, because even looking at the photos that she took of us, she got rid of the stray hairs, but that was about, and she made us not look like we have pimply faces or anything like that. But
She gave us like little Photoshop faceless.
Yeah, I don't like to go over the top with retouching.
Yeah.
Because I want somebody to really look like them. And I think that's really important. But I do understand, especially women, they have insecurities.
Women of a certain age too.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I brought my daughter. And with her very, very specific duties, I called it flap duties.
Yeah.
Like, if I have like
Skin flaps.
skin like hanging out like on my arm right here or whatever, like I'm like, tuck it in. She was good. She did it. She was like, oh, Mom.
Yeah, yeah. She went right in there.
Yep.
Yep.
So, to step in front of the camera at a mature age is, and I use mature really lightly, but It takes a lot
Yeah.
of courage.
Yeah. I think for anybody, I mean, you see a picture of yourself, like we are our biggest critics. I mean, that's true for me. I mean, photographers are the like guiltiest. I hate being in front of the camera. It's hard. It's hard to see myself. And so really recognizing that in my clients and also doing that myself, making sure that I know what it feels like to have that pointing at me is really important. And also, there's only so much you can do as a photographer. There's only so much Photoshop you can do. Some people are still not going to be happy with their photos because they're not happy with themselves. And that's something I've had to realize not to take personally when, they're not happy, but that's just really inner work that they need to do.
Well, and that's kind of perfect segue into, what we're trying to do here with Align to Amplify is that I found that the clients that I work with, when they have worked with Sarah and they get that alignment, that foundational work done, and they have that solid vision, and it builds a level of confidence, and it's a little bit of liberating, right? Removing those blocks and all of that kind of stuff. And you would be in the same, boat with me because we're in the amplification process in our industry. We amplify people.
Yeah.
And so if they come and they're already aligned,
Yes.
it makes our job so much easier.
It's so true. And they're ready. Because they're not only showing up in front of the camera, they're showing up for their business. And if you want to amplify your business, you have to show yourself and you have to show your face. You have to show people who you're working with so that they can trust you and build that connection. So when people are already ready to do that and they're excited, like that's so much fun. Every photo shoot I think is really fun. But when you have somebody who has that inner confidence, it's just a different feeling. Like you can see it on somebody.
Absolutely. And especially with small business and founders of business, they are the brand.
Yes.
Especially in the infant stages of business, they are the brand. And I think it's a critical piece. So this brand photography, it's seriously fantastic.
It's so fun.
It's fun. You make it fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, you really do. And I would highly recommend anybody listening check out House. Okay, Emily, how do people get a hold of you? Because people need to check you out and seriously get on her books. She's booking fast, so get on her books. Get your brand photo session.
Yeah, especially
scheduled.
As fall is coming up and the new year. That's a really popular time to rebrand and get things refreshed. So my website is www.brighterdayphotography.com. I'm also on Instagram at brighterdayphotography. And that's about it right now. I have a Facebook page, but I'm not super active on there. Trying to get all the, my ducks in a row with all the social media platforms. Which is stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So check out Emily Lewis, Brighter Day Photography. Get your brand session scheduled. Oh my goodness.
And we'll make sure all of that's in the show notes too. So it'll be there.
Yeah.
So if somebody didn't catch it here, check the show notes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, thank you again
Thank
so
you.
much.
This
And
was
thank you
fun.
for being you. And thank you for sharing your talents
Oh, thank you.
with us and particularly me.
Yeah, I'm so glad I met you, ladies.
Yeah.
Networking, power of networking.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Well,
All right.
that we're gonna call it.
Yay.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for being here. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. This
I
is
would
fun.
love
First podcast ever.
Especially as we start building out other ways to amplify and align or align and amplify.
Yeah.
Emily is one of our behind the scenes girls. She's
Yeah.
she's one of our rocks. So
Yep.
definitely it's going to happen.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Until next week.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.